Tattoos, Botox, implants, why do we do it? This week in the Midlife Mud, we're talking about changing our bodies, the pressure to look a certain way, and where self-expression ends and self-acceptance begins. This one's about beauty, identity, and a reminder that the mirror doesn't always tell the whole story. Stay with us in the mud for a conversation that wades beneath the surface of our desire to change the way we look in order to shape the way we feel.
Hey, I'm Morgan.
I'm Chris. Welcome to the Midlife Mud,
where we promise to bring the real shit, all the grit, and pretty much zero clue about how to deal with this crazy phase of life.
And by the way, because this is all about feeling less alone, what we want most is to connect with you.
Absolutely. So take a few seconds and visit themidlifemud.com and join our community.
And you'll stay up to date on all the dirt.
And even better, become a part of the conversation.
We can't wait to see you there. All right. Tighten those boots and let's get muddy. In 2023, we set out as a family on this epic pilgrimage, going back to New Zealand, where we explored our relatives and, Dad's side of the family. It was momentous. One of those once-in-a-lifetime experiences.
Who gets the chance to go with their parents, their siblings, alone across the world to look into your family history?
Right. So I have it in my mind that this was my idea. I came up with this idea of getting a tattoo.
Well, because I had just gotten my first tattoo in Italy. And I was like, we should get a tattoo there. And you were like, yes, like immediately.
Oh, so you're saying it wasn't my idea?
It was my idea.
I disagree. And I knew you were fucking going to argue with me about that. God. So anyway, it was my idea. And, it took on a story of its own. I think that was one of the cool things is that you and I and our other sister got together and really talked about this tattoo, and not just like the tattoo, but what is the meaning of the tattoo? And it was important to have symbolism embedded in it. And we talked about that. And then there was research done of finding the right place to go and weaving it into the trip itinerary and then kind of coming up with some rough idea of a design. In the end, we ended up with this tattoo, which I am very proud to have. When I look at it, it reminds me of that trip, but also it almost feels like kind of wearing a piece of my heritage on my body. And I know what it means, and it's okay that other people don't. And if people ask about it, then it's nice because I have a story behind it. So it's something really meaningful, but it's a permanent thing that I did to my body.
And for the record, that was your first tattoo.
Yeah, I'd never done anything like that. And I was really kind of on the fence, like I wanted to, but there was another part of me and it was like, I don't.
Am I a tattoo person?
Right.
Yeah. All three of us have it. We have it in the same place. And I think it's just something that is really special and bonding in a way. And it ties me back to that, remembering that trip.
Yeah.
So how does this tie into what we're talking about today?
I'm bringing it up because I think we live in a time when there's more and more options available for things that we can do to our bodies to express ourselves, to present ourselves in different ways. And I was thinking about this. When we grew up, there was cosmetic surgery, but this whole idea of injectables, I think, was still pretty primitive. There was still, obviously, tattoos, piercings, all of those kinds of things were available. And that seemed like a little bit more of a fringy thing to do. But even now, when I go to the beach, I notice lots of people, more people have tattoos than not these days, it seems, at least in the US. So I thought it was a good time for us to talk about the things that we do to physically present ourselves in different ways. And why do we do that? And what's going on with that whole thing? I was looking at injectables, which I think are one of those things that's rapidly advancing in our country. And, in 2022 and 2023, there were about 9.5 million Botox injections and 5.3 million hyaluronic acid filler procedures. That's just in the US.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And Botox is becoming the most common non-surgical procedure, almost like a gateway to cosmetic enhancement, I think. Over 9 million treatments are done annually with a 26% increase in 1 year.
It's such a simple little thing to do, you know, and it is not permanent. We have this one body that we're given, and I think we take it for granted when we're young. Like beauty is lost on the, or wasted on the young. Is that what they say? So true. We spend all of our time when we're young being like, oh, I wish this was different. I wish that was different. And then when we go back and look at pictures of ourselves in our 20s, we're like, oh, why didn't I enjoy that while I had it, you know? And so, yeah, there are all these things that we can do to our bodies. And you kind of pointed out two different sort of camps, I'll say. One is that it's a form of expression, like if you like tattoos and piercings, and then the other feels a lot more like maintenance or aspiring towards some sort of ideal.
Yeah, but I would argue that is still a form of expression.
Maybe.
You're trying to present yourself in a way that is the same, perhaps.
I don't know that I agree with that. I feel like instead of trying to show who you are from the inside out, like make your exterior match your interior, I feel like chasing the ideal, and this goes for anything. This is not just physical.
Yeah.
Chasing the ideal, no matter what context we're talking, is a hustle.
Yeah, but isn't that an expression?
I don't know that it's as intentional as that. Maybe that's what it is, the intention. Like we just talked about the tattoo that we got. That was incredibly intentional for us.
Yeah.
It had meaning. This is like about us.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what everybody else knows about it or doesn't. We know what it means. Whereas it feels like when we're trying to match some sort of ideal culturally, we are just trying to keep up. And it's not about what's in here, what's inside. It's about what's, you know, what everybody else thinks we are. It feels opposite to me.
I see what you mean, you know, but an expression that you choose, like a way that you present yourself, what I'm saying is that doesn't always match our internal who we are and what we are at core.
Yeah.
Like they don't always match. I think sometimes there is this urge, this feeling and need to try to present yourself to the world in a certain way.
There's a key difference, I think, between expressing yourself and presenting yourself. I think of those as two different things.
Yeah. But I guess my devil's advocate is, does everybody?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Like I get it. I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But that is in itself is a very intentional separation.
Mm-hmm.
As we think about this, what's going on? Like what are the potential drivers underneath making these kinds of changes?
It's funny. As we're talking about this, I'm thinking about the day I turned 18.
Yeah.
Actually, a few weeks after I turned 18, a friend of mine also turned 18. So the two of us went together when she turned 18 to go get our belly buttons pierced.
Mm-hmm.
And that was absolutely the nudge for me to do that was just, I'm 18 and I can go do this. Mm-hmm. This is about independence.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much about vanity, like, ooh, I want to have this belly button ring. I think the motivation comes from all kinds of different places for these things.
I think I was also 18. Imagine that.
See?
And here I thought I was so fucking original when I did that. And in the course of 1 year, I had 3 piercings put in my left ear and 1 piercing put in my right ear.
I forgot about that.
And I used to wear these like big silver hoops.
Yeah. I don't know why I keep there's such a polarity here. So like when I think about that kind of modification at that age and doing it for that reason, we're not thinking about the long term.
That is totally the opposite of the intentionality.
Right. We're just like living in the moment and expressing who we are and like,
I'm going to poke a hole in this.
Yeah. And then when we're middle-aged adults going in for Botox or fillers or this or that, we're like, okay, this needs to last. How long does this last? I need this to last as long as possible. We're really, really wanting it to be forever.
Right.
And it's not, because what we're talking about there is physical aging.
Yeah.
Right? And what is the nudge there from that standpoint? As someone in midlife who is seeking cosmetic procedures, let's zero in on that.
There's so much crap here potentially, but one thing that I thought about, and I'm starting to feel this a little bit, is we are living longer, right? We know that. We've been living longer a little bit each generation. And now people are really, and I get the privilege of seeing this all the time, very active and productive all the way into their 70s and even 80s at times. That doesn't always mean that you're working, but the point is that I think just at a very practical level, careers are longer and people are finding themselves at 50, 55, and they're like, well, I'm going to work for 20 more years and I can't look old. I need to keep up with that. And I need to be able to, be competitive in that arena. I'm not saying that's the only thing, but that's one thing.
Well, there is, at least in our country, there is 100% a belief system that if you are old, you are not as valuable in the workforce, or, maybe at all, right? And a lot of people subscribe to that. And I think that's part of that hustle.
Yeah.
We're sort of fighting the inevitable. And I want to be really clear. I am not at all passing judgment on people who choose to do this. It is always a very personal decision. And I've done certain things which we can talk about. But I do wonder, how far do we go with this and to what end? It's a lot. It gets to be exhausting.
Well, and back to the ear piercing story, I think one of the things that can potentially happen, I don't know because I haven't made the choice to do any sort of cosmetic procedure like that myself. But if you make that kind of choice when you're younger and you're probably in that a little bit more like I'm focused on now in the next 5 years mode, you're kind of taking on this responsibility to keep that maintained maybe, because I don't think Botox always lasts forever. And some of those other injectable procedures, they definitely, once you start enhancing something, it usually needs some touch up. So then you're taking on this whole maintenance course.
It's like if you're like, oh, there's a scuff on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna paint the walls. And then you paint the walls and you're like, well, now I'm gonna do the trim. Oh, but the carpet is shit. It doesn't work with it. And then all of a sudden you have this whole new room.
Right.
You're right. It can get to be a slippery slope. For me, that's the real question is to what end? We all know deep down in our heart of hearts that we are not going to look in 40 years, if we're still here. We're not going to look like we do today, no matter how hard we try. We're just not.
I don't think that's always the driver. I think sometimes people just want to look different than the way that they naturally look.
And maybe that is true because cosmetic procedures are also not confined to midlifers.
No.
Got girls in their 20s who are totally youthful, who are going in and getting lip filler. And
I don't know what it's called, but when your ears are kind of positioned in a very outward.
Yeah, that's a very common cosmetic procedure to have done at a young age, to pin your ears back. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. So again, though, it is back to fitting in and chasing some sort of ideal.
Maybe my nose is crooked. I could probably go.
Oh my God. I used to hate my nose.
Aren't you glad I brought it up? Now you don't have to say it. God, I know you're always thinking about it.
But you know what? It's okay. So, it makes me think of, what's her name? Kirsten Dunst, the actress. Some of her teeth are kind of, yes, I'm going to talk about teeth for a second, but some of her teeth are kind of, she's got a very signature tooth situation happening. And I think I read somewhere at one point that she specifically doesn't want to fix it because it's part of who she is. It's part of what makes her look like her.
I really admire that.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because it makes me think about, that's where I've landed with my nose. All through high school, all through my early 20s, if I had had the money to do a nose job, I would have done it because I wanted the cute little button nose. But now that I'm older, it is very unique to me. If I didn't have this nose, I would look like a totally different person, which to me feels like it feels like me trying to abandon who I am in a way.
I'll tell you about my nose, the way I got it crooked. I was a competitive swimmer and I was horsing around as a 12-year-old boy does. And I like dunked some kid and then went under the water so he couldn't dunk me and he kicked me in the face. And
Oh.
I got out of the water. I had blood all over my chest. And I went up to the coaches and they said, "What happened to you? Did you get in an axe fight?" And from that day forth, my nose has been crooked.
I think we evolve so much too. There was probably a time in my life where I was like, I'll never get a tattoo.
Right.
Well, that changed. I've got 2 tattoos. At this current point, I'm like, I'm not going to pursue Botox. I'm just going to let the wrinkles come. 5 years from now, I may say something different. I am 44. I read somewhere that for some reason, people age exponentially faster at age 43. There's a rapid aging process that happens at age 43. And I can attest to that. Yes, I need to find the where I read this.
Maybe I was late because I feel like it's this year for me.
Oh my God. I feel like I look in the mirror and like my eyelids are like hanging over my pupils.
So I've got like these bags under my eyes and I'm like, damn it. I wish those would just go away. And to your point, right now, I remain steadfast in my resolution not to do anything about that in terms of a procedure. But I have to admit, as vain as it is, and it is vain, it does bother me some.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe I will change my mind in a few years. I don't know.
Yeah. Right now, it's about the fact that I don't want to commit to that kind of hustle. That's all it is for me. That doesn't mean I never will, but I'm like, God, that seems like a lot of work and money to just maintain that.
Where I'm going with it is, okay, if I'm going to put in a lot of work and money, I want it to be more functional and less cosmetic, right?
Yeah, like what's it really doing for you?
Right. I want to work on being stronger, more functional, like being able to have more experiences. And if I have bags under my eyes in the picture, well, fuck it.
But I'd be lying if I said I didn't care.
I know.
I totally care.
I wish I could say I didn't care, but I do.
I know. Okay, and this brings me to my story. I have had cosmetic surgery. When I was done having babies, I did the mommy makeover surgery, which included an abdominoplasty. Mm-hmm. So I put my ab muscles back together, tummy tuck kind of deal, and I got implants, breast implants. And oh man, I was never well endowed. And I always wished that I were.
No, you don't. As a physical therapist, I would tell you.
Well, I don't want to be way well endowed. I don't want to have back problems, but I want to fill out my damn V-neck shirt, you know? And so I struggled with this because in my mind, I kept thinking, well, I don't want to be the kind of person that cares about that. But the reality is that I was the kind of person that cared about it, you know? And so it's like a tug of like, what's the value here for me? Am I hustling? Am I trying to fit in? What is it that I want for me instead of trying to match the ideal? And, you know, at the time, my youngest, who was my only daughter, was a toddler. That was my biggest thought was, what am I going to tell her when she's older about why I did this? I still struggle with it. I don't know what I'm going to say. Am I happy?
Why did you do it?
Because it's something I always wanted it. It's like why would you want the bags to be gone? Why? Because I want to look like the whoever, the models on the, you know, it's like fitting into that ideal. And I don't, you know, it goes without saying, I think, after breastfeeding 4 kids, the little that I had was like,
used.
So sad and used. Yeah. You talk about a deflated air mattress. That's what I was working with, you know? And to be fair, my husband, he did not care one bit. He was like, that's not something that matters to me.
Yeah.
It was a very, you know, he said, you make your decision for you. And I don't regret it, at least yet. I haven't had any problems with them. But I do wonder, you know, if and when I have to go in to replace these, and my daughter's old enough to be like, what are you having surgery for? Oh, I'm having my boobs replaced. You know what I mean?
It's no big deal. Yeah. I just need to upgrade to the newer model.
I don't want to send the message to her that she has to do that. That said, if she wants to do it, I would be okay with that because it is her body. It's kind of it's just something that whoever is looking at doing anything cosmetically or any kind of major procedure like that should really research it and really do a little bit of digging and soul searching to figure out if that's something they're doing for themselves, or are they doing it for their partner? Are they doing it?
Well, and I think there's also the issue of forethought. And just thinking through, if I do this now, then what is it potentially going to require of me in order to maintain it? And what will it feel like? And that's my question about this breast thing for you. Like, now you're 7 years in. So do you look at that decision differently now than you did in 2018? Or are you still feeling about the same?
I think I'm still okay. I'm still glad that I did it ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, ask me in 10 years or whenever I have to go in and actually have a major surgery again. Not that it's a major surgery, but go under the knife again. Am I going to be like, yay, I got to go do it again? Not really,
Right.
It's a good question. And I think it is something that we have to ask ourselves anytime we want to go do these things. I feel like for men, this is less of a thing. I don't know. I mean, I know there's plenty of men that do Botox and stuff.
Well, I mean, I think the thing for men that comes up a lot is the erectile dysfunction, right? And taking drugs to enhance performance that way. I don't know if that's really an equivalent or not, but that's something that really comes up sometimes for men.
I think that's what comes into where's the value? What is the value that men provide? What is the value that women provide? Women have to look a certain way and men have to do a certain thing,
Right.
And so it comes down to like our quote unquote roles.
And there is nestled into this that whole thing of trying to keep that thing, the way a woman looks a certain way and a man does a certain thing, the same, even though we do change as we get older. And I'm not relating this all to age. It's not.
But I think that's a very prevalent piece of this.
Yeah.
Does it all come down to the fundamentals of like reproduction? Is that what this is all about? Is we're wired? If we're not worthy of reproduction, we are no longer worthy of existing on this earth? Like, does it really come down to that?
We could have made this show really short. What are we doing?
But it makes you wonder, is there some sort of primal thing that we're wired with? Now, granted, society has made the rules and they continue to change and evolve.
Yeah, but the rules, I think, could be tied to that primal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about what you just said with the breast surgery, right? You did that because you wanted to look like...
Right. I wanted to be attractive.
You always want to look like the models, right? The attractive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's another huge theme that drives us to want to make changes to our bodies at all different ages. And the thing that I think is happening is a lot of people are making that choice earlier in life than they were 20 years ago, 10 years ago,
Okay, so I'm thinking about, I was sifting through my social media the other day and one of these things about one of the Kardashians came up. And it was like, here's Khloe Kardashian when she was 20 and here's Khloe today. And they do a split screen and they point to all the things, the procedures that she's had done. And she looks like a totally different person.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that it's like, I want these eyebrows that are arched this way, and I want no wrinkles on my forehead, and I want this nose that looks like everybody else's nose. And so then we all end up looking the same. And then what? And then we're going to have to break free and individualize some other way. Like it'll swing another way.
Yeah.
My comment about my nose, at least I know would recognize myself in a picture. You know what I mean? Yep, that's me. That's my nose. But if I had the kind of nose that if you just took a picture of that nose, I couldn't tell that it was mine, that would be strange to me. I don't know. I think part of what we're talking about here, yes, we're talking some about aging, but we're also talking about the ideals of beauty in general.
They dance together.
Yeah.
They're not always.
Because aging ain't cute.
No.
That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. I think we're really just talking about intentionality.
Intentionality and identity.
Yeah. And we're talking about how our physical body shows up to give us identity and making intentional choices around, should we change that? How should we change it? When should we change it? How much should we change it? Or should we not change it? And obviously that changes too over time.
I know.
Like, I thought that I would never get a tattoo, and now I have one. I'm glad to have it. I hope in 10 years I'm glad to have it, but I'm not sure. I think I will be, but we'll see. It's the same thing. Like, this is just a call to give some thought to this stuff. That's all.
Yeah, because once you dip your toe in,
Your toe's wet.
your toe is wet. And then do you have a towel? Are you going to get all the way in?
Right. I feel like this is an important conversation because we're constantly inundated with messages to kind of keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. You know, like you brought up the Kardashian thing. I'm proud to say that I couldn't really even recognize one of them.
You don't keep up with them? The Kardashians? Did you see what I did there?
I wouldn't know. But I think we're inundated, whether we're conscious of that or not, with the message to keep ourselves looking the best. And no matter how we feel, we need to look a certain way. And that's the other point about this, by the way, is that there is this separation between how you feel and how you look. And the most important thing, at least in the messaging, that I think we get through social media and mainstream movies and shows and is we just have to look great. Just look great forever, all the time.
All the time.
Doesn't really matter how you feel.
And this doesn't even have to be surgical stuff. Like I look at some of these get ready with me in the morning videos that people do. Holy shit. Who has 4 hours to do all these things? It is like, what? They have the patch things under their eyes, and they have the thing on their belly button, and they have this weird elixir that they drink, and then they do this, and then they take a 15-second cold shower, and then it floors me. It floors me that people spend that much time. And I think, again, back to being a personal decision, I don't want to spend my time doing that.
So my morning routine takes 2 hours, but it's focused on, I do my workout. I don't put eye patches on. I might start because I really hate these bags.
You should look into that. I had to do some research on some of these things. I was like, what is that they're doing? What is this? I don't even know.
So the scary thing is, if you look at 11 and 12-year-old girls, and there may be a boy version of this too, but I'm becoming very well acquainted with all of these shows on YouTube that are done by these young influencers. And it's insane. The elixirs and the face creams and the pre-wash and the post-wash. And I don't even know all the terms, but I have this 11-year-old coming to me asking for this serum and that serum and going through this whole routine and just modeling what they're seeing.
Subscribing to that message and putting that much weight on the outward appearance is so dangerous.
In concept, the idea of looking beautiful has been around. When we were kids, that was a thing. When our parents were kids,
I'm sure cavemen had the same. I mean, there was some definition of beauty.
Back to your primitive thing, right? That's all part of that primitive element. But now it's on steroids.
I know.
So like the starting place where an 11-year-old is taken today with going out and purchasing all of these different serums and creams, and that's like where they're starting at 11. Where are they going to be at 50?
And I want to tie this back to our confidence episode. There's something in there about a promise of, if you do these things, then you can be confident. Like, you have to buy it. You have to reach for it externally. Have you ever seen that? I think it was a Dove commercial. I'm going to find that and link it in the show notes. There's this amazing Dove commercial of these little, you talk about these 12-year-old girls, of these little girls who are being interviewed, and they're like, what do you think about your body? And they're like, I'm strong and I'm this and I'm that. And you can see, and that shifts.
Yeah.
It's like a light switch. I'm right on the cusp of that with my own daughter. And that's why I want to be really careful with it. But this whole idea that you have to be or do or look a certain way in order to feel confident. Ooh, that's dangerous.
It's fuckery is what it is.
It's fuckery.
Because it's back to that whole tension between external beauty and realizing your own internal beauty and strength. And the false salesmanship here is, if you become externally beautiful, you will feel and find your internal beauty. No, no, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, and I think that's the essence of what we're really saying. When we say, like, do the soul searching and really think about your intention, what's going on in here first? And that doesn't mean you don't move forward with whatever it is you're wanting to do, but what's going on in here first? If it really is about you hustling, you're going to stay on that wheel the rest of your life.
Right.
If you never stop and think about that.
Yeah, so there's something about what are you seeking? And if what is being sought is more a realization of like, who am I internally and I want to feel better, maybe danger. Right?
Yeah, if you're going to hang your hat on that, think again. It's the same thing as like, if I get this promotion, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
If you are expecting that this one procedure is then going to make you valuable, happy with yourself,
or feel worthy,
right, then that's a dangerous way of thinking,
I
think is what we're saying. And that's from someone who has had cosmetic surgery. You know, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying I judge anyone for doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, anytime anyone does something like this, what is the motivation? What are they looking for?
Right.
The things we do, it just...
The things we do.
Someone somewhere way out in the universe, if they could look at us, they'd probably be like, what are these idiots doing?
If you haven't joined our community yet, do it.
You can do that at themidlifemud.com/join. We want to hear from you about, like, what are your thoughts? Do you do any of this stuff? Is that something in your orbit? What take do you have on it?
And if you've done some of it in the past and you're feeling differently about it now, or you feel great about it now, share that too.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about that stuff. And in the meantime, we'll just be right here.
In the mud.
That's right. Thanks for being with us in the mud today.
If you liked this episode, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the show. This is going to make sure you never miss an episode, and it's going to help us grow our muddy community, which would mean the world to us.
See you next time in the mud.